Did you really think they were going to kill the strongest man alive? Because when that scene hit the screen, the entire fandom froze. It wasn't the silence of people who didn't get it. It was the silence of people who understood it all too well. That feeling of the ground disappearing beneath your feet, of something that seemed permanent in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe, simply ceasing to exist. And now everyone wants to know, did Gojo Satoru actually die? What exactly happened at the end of Season 3? And why did Gege Akutami do this? Take a breath, because this video is going to explain everything. No fluff, no spoilers thrown in your face without context. We're going to break down the Culling Game arc, the weight of Gojo's death, and what this ending means for the series as a whole. The man who was never supposed to lose. For years, Gojo Satoru worked as a kind of ceiling for the universe. He was the limit of what was possible. As long as he existed, there was a safety margin in the world of JJK. Even if everything went wrong, Gojo was there. He was humanity's life insurance against the curses. That construction wasn't an accident, it was a trap. Gege Akutami spent entire seasons making you believe Gojo was immovable, not to comfort you, to prepare you for the impact when he fell, the prison realm and what it represents. Before getting to the death itself, we need to take one step back. Because Gojo wasn't just killed, he was removed from the story first. At the end of Season 2, Gojo is sealed inside the prison realm by Geto, or rather, by the entity occupying Geto's body, Kenjaku. That was devastating for reasons that go beyond power. Gojo was separated from the world using the most broken friendship he ever had. The image of Suguru Geto's face being used as a weapon against him, that's not just narrative strategy, that's calculated cruelty. And throughout all Season 3, Gojo's absence weighs heavy. The characters operate with a fracture at their center. Yuji, Nanami, Nobara, Fushiguro, all of them function knowing the axis is broken. The series uses that void to show what these characters are without a safety net. When Gojo is finally freed, the anticipation explodes. The fandom goes into a collective meltdown, the good kind. He's back. Now it's on. And then comes Sukuna. The fight the entire manga built toward. The battle between Gojo and Sukuna is, technically, the greatest clash in the history of Jujutsu Kaisen. In terms of scale, techniques involved, and impact on the narrative world, nothing comes close. Gojo enters this fight the way he always enters, with calm, with competence, with that confidence that isn't arrogance, it's precision. He knows exactly what he can do. The problem is that Sukuna, at that moment, also knows exactly what Gojo can do and has already calculated the space beyond it. What makes this fight different isn't raw power, it's intelligence. Sukuna doesn't beat Gojo through strength, he beats him through reading, through the ability to turn infinity, the technique that always protected Gojo from everything, into a variable he had already absorbed into his plan. And when Gojo falls, the scene doesn't scream. It whispers. There's no epic soundtrack, no long final speech. There's Gojo with a smile on his face, at peace, somewhere between life and whatever comes next, talking to the friends he lost, Hahibara, Nanami, and Geto, the real Geto, not the shell Kenjaku wore. That scene is what separates Jujutsu Kaisen from other battle series. Gojo's death isn't treated as spectacle, it's treated as a farewell. Why Gege killed Gojo Satoru? This is the question half the fandom still can't swallow, and it makes sense to ask, because the decision is radical. But there's a narrative logic here that once you see it, changes everything. Gojo was a structural problem for the story, not in a negative way, but in the sense that his presence resolved any real tension. As long as he existed as an active force, no other character could grow into a true protagonist. Yuji Itarude would be eternally in the shadow. His journey, which is about carrying the impossible weight of a cruel world, couldn't breathe with Gojo as an anchor. Gojo's death is the moment Jujutsu Kaisen stops being a mentor story and becomes completely Yuji's story. It's the same narrative function that the death of characters like Ned Stark served in Game of Thrones. It signals to the audience that the rules have changed, that no one is safe, that the story is going all the way for real. And there's another layer to it. Gojo always carried an enormous solitary weight. He was too strong to be understood by almost anyone. His death, surrounded by the friends he lost, is almost a liberation. Gege didn't kill Gojo to punish the character. He killed him to give Gojo a rest he could never have while alive.
what the Season 3 finale means for the future. With Gojo gone, the Jujutsu world enters a completely different phase. Sukuna is operating without any real containment. Kenjaku still exists, with his plans in motion. And Yuji, a kid who started this story swallowing a rotten finger on impulse, is now literally one of the last lines of defense for a world that's coming apart. And what the animation does with that is extraordinary. Mappa delivers sequences that the manga, by the limitations of the medium, could never show with all the sensory weight they deserve. The fight against Sukuna, Gojo's farewell, the silence that follows, all of it carries a visual and sonic gravity that transforms what was already powerful on the page into something that stays with you. The legacy of Gojo Satoru. There's one thing that's easy to miss in the middle of the grief over Gojo's death: just how much he changed the world of the series. Before him, the sorcerer world operated on a logic of sacrifice and cold hierarchy. Lives were disposable. Students were sent to die as tools. Gojo broke that system, not because he had the power to, but because he refused to accept the rules as permanent. He trained students in a way nobody else taught. He protected people the system had decided weren't worth protecting. He believed the next generation could be different. Yuji, Megumi, Nobata, they exist the way they are because of Gojo. His legacy isn't in Infinity or the Six Eyes, it's in the characters he shaped. And maybe that's what the series is trying to say with all of this, that real strength isn't what you carry while you're alive, it's what you plant in the people who stay behind. So, did Gojo Satoru really die? Yes. Within the narrative, within the rules of the Jujutsu Kaisen universe, Gojo Satoru is dead. There was no cheap twist, no convenient resurrection. The series had the courage to do what it promised from the beginning, that this world charges too high a price for every single step forward. But there's a difference between dying and disappearing. Gojo is in every decision Yuji makes now. He's in the way Megumi was trained. He's in the fact that these characters know that living to the limit is a choice, not an obligation. The strongest man is gone, but what he built is still standing. And now that you know all of this, the weight of the battle, the farewell, what comes next, there's one question the series still hasn't answered. If Gojo knew deep down that he might not come back, why did he smile?